In the small town of Davison, Michigan, in 1954, a beautiful and beloved young girl named Paulette Jaster lives. Her charming qualities endeared her to all who met her, and she was often loved by those who knew her at the time. Despite a promising start, Paulette's life took a different turn when she suddenly dropped out of Central Michigan University after just one semester, leaving her loved ones bewildered by her unexpected decision. No one knew why at the time, and she refused to give reasons for her actions to anyone. As the years passed, Paulette's behavior became increasingly erratic, and she began to struggle with serious mental illness. A painful breakup with her high school sweetheart exacerbated her struggles. By 1974, her erratic actions had caused a rift between her and her loved ones. In 1977, Paulette confided in Officer Davison, saying she believed someone was plotting to harm her and manipulate her mind. Concerned for her health, authorities petitioned for government intervention, resulting in Paulette being admitted to a state hospital for evaluation and treatment. After his release, Paulette's behavior continued to become complicated. In 1978, she left Michigan for Florida to briefly visit home. Paulette finally disappeared without a trace in April of that year, leaving her family grieving and desperate for answers. Despite their efforts, authorities had difficulty finding clues, and Paulette's case remained cold for nearly 3 years. In 1983, the mystery deepened when Paulette's sister began receiving puzzling calls from an anonymous caller, further fueling speculation surrounding her disappearance. The victim's family members began searching missing person websites. They stumbled upon a website called Web Sleuths, a forum where registered users cataloged information related to crimes, trials, and unsolved murders. The website would eventually lead them to a woman named Debbie Saunders, whose web sleuth alias was Houston Mum. They were able to identify a victim of a hit and run from 1980 who bore strong similarities to Paulette. Until 1996, when Michigan State Police issued a new request for information regarding Paulette's whereabouts. With the help of a dedicated online detective named Debbie Saunders, Paulette's family discovers a potential match for her in a victim of a hit-and-run accident from 1980. Forensic analysis finally confirmed the match, bringing closure to Paulette's family nearly 34 years after her disappearance. It was determined that Paulette was tragically killed in a hit-and-run accident while hitchhiking from Arizona to Houston in 1980. Her attacker, Robert S. Couch, faced serious consequences after this tragic incident, despite receiving a relatively lenient sentence. In the end, Paulette's family found solace in finally letting her rest in peace under her true identity, ending a decades-long saga filled with uncertainty and heartbreak. Have you pressed the subscribe button yet? This way, you'll never miss out on what fascinating stories and mysteries come up next. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to receive notifications of new videos. May 25th, 2020 in Newport Beach, California, a tragic story that ended after a long period of fruitless searching. Linda Ann Oie, a shy girl, has a passion for painting, crafts, and playing the piano. Famous for being diligent in housework and always keeping her room tidy, Linda has a particularly close relationship with her eldest sister. On July 6, 1973, Linda arrived at Lincoln Elementary School in Corona del Mar wearing a pretty dress, her hair in a ponytail, and white ankle socks decorating her feet. The next day, instead of cycling to school as usual, Linda agreed to give her piano teacher a ride, which meant she would have to walk home later. After school, unable to pick up her mother for a ride, Linda ventured to a market and encountered a turquoise truck. Moments later, she disappeared from sight. Despite a frantic search by family, friends, and law enforcement, no one was found. Witnesses reported seeing Linda near a turquoise truck, but the number of clues grew. Dropped, and the case remained dormant for more than 4 decades. To find someone who could recognize the murderer from this profile, and luckily, they knew exactly who to turn to for help. They chose the internet as their broadcast medium through a series of tweets in which they revealed all the details of Linda's case, including a composite sketch of the culprit. In 2018, advances in DNA technology renewed hope for justice. Using DNA phenotyping, a lifelike physical representation of Linda was created, and the internet became a tool to spread awareness. Through social media campaigns and widespread sharing, multiple tips were issued across the country, leading to the arrest of murderer James Allen Neal, a 73-year-old man, in February 2019. However, Neal was taken to a local hospital a few days later. Due to an unknown illness, he died without timely treatment in 2020. Although not tried, Linda's story is still a ray of hope, showing the effectiveness of treatment methods. creative investigation, and collective efforts of the online community in seeking justice. Which of these scares you the most? Let us know in the comments section below. On November 10, 1979, the body of a teenage girl was discovered in a field near the Genesee River in Colonia, New York, about 23 miles from Rochester, off US Highway 20. A farmer who found her initially mistook her for a trespassing hunter, but quickly realized she had lost her life and contacted the authorities. The girl, who was fully clothed and showed no signs of being attacked, was shot twice. Investigators concluded that she had not anticipated the attack, suggesting she was caught off guard. Dubbed Callie Doe, the victim's identity remains elusive. Estimated to be between 13 and 19 years old, she is 5'3" inches tall and weighs 120 pounds, with brown skin, eyes and shoulder-length light brown hair. Despite great efforts, determining her identity was still challenging due to her unrecognizability. Items and DNA evidence were washed away by heavy rains. Forensic examination showed she may have eaten canned sweet potatoes and boiled ham during her last meal at a restaurant in Lima, where she was recognized by a waiter. Clues such as a men's windbreaker jacket with red nylon trim and a metal keychain hanging from the waistband hinted at her travels along New York State byways, but the search proved difficult due to the nature of her travels, the promotional nature of the jacket, and the popularity of the keychain. After years of stalled investigations, the unknown girl was laid to rest at Greenmount Cemetery in Danville, New York in 1980. In 2005, advances in forensic science led to further investigation, linking the composition of her teeth to regional drinking water in North America and suggests she may have come from the southern or southwestern United States. In 2010, a portrait of Callie was created based on facial reconstruction, sparking new interest in her case. Through internet online communities such as web sleuths, potential connections emerged, leading to the positive identification of Colonia Jane Doe as Tammy Alexander on January 25, 2015, more than 35 years after her death. Despite this breakthrough, Tammy's killer has not been caught, with suspicions pointing towards Henry Lee Lucas, a serial killer, among others. Tammy's family was finally solved thanks to the dedication of detectives, the online community, and advances in forensic science. Yet justice for her remains elusive, leaving unresolved questions and a reward offered by the FBI for information leading to her killer. It was a sunny Thursday morning, August 9, 2018, in Eatonville, Washington, when Susan Rainwater, a 63-year-old woman, started her routine bike ride around 9:30 a.m. After breaking up with her husband, she promised to return within an hour, unaware of the tragedy that awaited her. As she walked along Highway 7 on Route 320 East, just a short distance from her home, a car drove into her lane, colliding with Susan and killing her instantly. The driver callously fled the scene, leaving Susan to die alone. Several hours passed before a passerby, who happened to be Rainwater's neighbor, noticed a badly damaged bicycle on the street and decided to investigate. There, lying in the grass nearby, was Susan Rainwater, her life snuffed out. With little evidence to work with, authorities put out a public appeal on the internet social network for assistance in identifying the driver responsible for the hit and run. Thanks to the power of social media, the breakthrough came when a user named Jeff, claiming to be a vehicle inspector, identified a small black piece found at the scene as belonging to a Chevrolet CK pickup truck, 1989. His expertise and attention to detail yielded a vital lead for law enforcement, leading to the arrest of Jeremy Simon, whose damaged vehicle matched the description provided by Jeff. Simon, arrested and charged with intentionally causing an accident and illegal possession of a substance, initially claimed that he thought he had hit a mailbox and fled the scene when he realized it was a bicycle. Despite his remorse, Simon was ultimately convicted and sentenced to 4.5 years in prison under a drug treatment program. The leniency of the sentence drew criticism from Rainwater's family, who said it did not fully reflect the severity of their loss. However, the case of Susan Rainwater is a profound example of the internet's ability to mobilize communities for justice. In just 7 days, social media platforms played a vital role in ending a case that would otherwise have gone unsolved. It highlights the potential of social media, not only as an entertainment platform but also as a tool to seek justice and hold individuals accountable for their actions. In June 2018, a case that had been mysterious for decades was solved and came to an end, causing fierce debate in the online community. When Linda Murry Pagano was young, her parents divorced, causing her mother to remarry a man named Brian Claflin. However, this relationship also became rocky when Brian abused Linda and her siblings, Mike and Cheryl Pagano. Despite the abuse, Linda has a good relationship with Brian and chooses to be with him instead of her mother's new boyfriend. On August 30th, Linda drove to Cleveland with her boyfriend to attend a concert but did not return home that night. The next morning, she fights with Brian, causing him to kick her out of the house. After this argument, Linda disappeared, causing her family to report her missing to the police. Months later, in February 1975, the skeleton of a young woman was found along a riverbank in Strongsville, Ohio. Despite efforts to identify her, she remained unknown for decades, named Strongsville Jane Doe. In 2015, amateur detective Christina Skates accidentally discovered the case while researching cemetery records. Determined to uncover the truth, she posted her findings on the internet social network, attracting widespread interest in the case. Through collaboration with forensic artist Carl Koppel, Skates eventually obtained the case files and placed the Strongsville Jane Doe in the federal database of missing and unidentified persons. In June 2018, DNA testing confirmed the remains belonged to Linda Pagano. Efforts are currently underway to determine who is responsible, with Brian Claflin as a potential suspect, although he passed away in 1990. Linda's family has finally received closure after decades of unrest, thanks to the persistence of career detectives and advances in forensic technology.
With the mysteries unveiled, our journey concludes. The enigmas linger, teasing our curiosity. If you hunger for more tales of the inexplicable, don't forget to subscribe for a front row seat to the unfolding mysteries. Farewell, fellow seekers!